The war is escalating. Ukraine has struck Russia and Crimea again, and yet again they're not taking responsibility for the strike. But there's no denying the fact that Ukraine is on the offensive. They're using guerrilla fighters and they're striking Russian assets deep inside Crimea. Needless to say, Moscow is furious. It says this is sabotage and it is striking back. Today, Russian hackers tried to attack Ukraine's nuclear power provider. So now we have a war and proxy wars, and they're being fought on multiple fronts. This could spin out of control because we also have a nuclear power plant at the center of this conflict. And we bring this up almost every day, and we continue to report on this closely because this is a very serious situation. It's a question that the whole world should be focusing on. Is Ukraine heading for a nuclear nightmare, and what can be done to prevent it? We'll start with yesterday's strike. Another Russian base, military base, went up in smoke. This was an ammunition depot. The area was covered in black smoke for hours. The damage is considerable, and it wasn't just the base that was attacked. There are railway lines, power grids, and apartments nearby, and they were all damaged. A Russian reporter was at the site when this attack happened. Here is what she saw.
Находимся на перекрестке между селом Майским и селом Азовским. Там стоит машина ГИБДД, никого не пускает, ни местных жителей, никого, потому что это опасно. Буквально несколько минут назад, вот сейчас, слышите, раскат до сих пор детонирует. Вот видите, вот оно, как раз это облако дыма. Сейчас находиться ближе небезопасно. Слышен грохот. Это сейчас самое безопасное расстояние, на котором можно наблюдать этот взрыв.
Last week, a Russian military base saw explosions. Moscow tried to downplay it. They called it an incident of fire. But this time, their response is quite different. This time, the Russian Defense Ministry is blaming saboteurs for the strike. The local authorities in Crimea are worried. They say they have evacuated over 3,000 residents.
The current state of affairs is, now we see official reports from the Defense Ministry. The cause of today's incident was sabotage. We already understand what is happening. We have evacuated more than 3,000 people from the settlements of Miskoye, Azovskoye and Zankoye district.
So who are these saboteurs? These are fighters loyal to Ukraine, and they're striking deep within enemy territory. This is what a shadow war looks like. This is a Russian counteroffensive. Why now? What is Ukraine targeting? They're targeting the supply lines of Russian forces. Crimea feeds Russia's war in Ukraine. It is a staging ground for Russian forces. There are two main rail links here. Russia needs them to move heavy military equipment into Ukraine. Last week, a Russian airbase was attacked. From there, Russian fighters have staged sorties against Ukrainian forces. Moscow has also built missile launch pads in Crimea. They can serve as bases to fire long-range missiles into Ukraine. So Crimea is like a supply chain for the Russian war, and Ukraine wants to destroy it. Also, they want to do it quietly, which is why Ukraine is making no official admissions. It is not taking responsibility for any of these operations. Although some Ukrainian officials have dropped hints, a senior advisor to Ukraine's president called the strikes demilitarization in action. Another senior official posted on social media saying Crimea is Ukraine. And President Volodymyr Zelensky himself said there could be more such operations in the days ahead.
Every day and every night we see new reports of explosions in the territory temporarily occupied by the occupiers. I am now asking all our people in Crimea, in other regions in the south of the country, in the occupied areas of Donbass, in the Kharkiv region to be very careful. Please do not approach the military objects of the Russian army and all those places where they store ammunition and equipment, where they keep their headquarters.
That sounded more like a declaration of intent. Zelensky is implying that attacks in Crimea are fair game. But this is a risky gamble. Zelensky is not just aiming for territorial gains, he wants to inflict psychological damage too. He wants to make Russian forces feel vulnerable in the battleground by going after their supplies. And this plan could backfire because Russia is raising the stakes. Pro-Russian hackers conducted a major cyber attack today. The target was Ukraine's state-owned nuclear power company. It is called Energoatom. The company's website suffered a major attack. It lasted for 3 hours. More than 7 million bots hit the website, which tells you the scale of this operation. 7 million bots. The company was able to defend itself. The attackers were a group of hackers in Russia called the People's Cyber Army. Energoatom issued a statement, and I have that statement with me. This is what they said. This is the company that was targeted by Russian hackers. The Russians have launched an unprecedented cyber attack on the official website of Energoatom. It was the most powerful hacking attack since the beginning of the invasion. And this is significant because Russia is basically showing that nothing is off limits, not even nuclear power plants or companies. Russia already controls the Zaporizhia nuclear power station. It is the biggest in Europe and is now caught in the crossfire. Russian forces have launched rockets and missiles from this facility, nuclear facility. The plant itself has been shelled multiple times. The United Nations has issued repeated warnings of a nuclear disaster. Let me show you the latest satellite images. This is the Zaporizhia nuclear plant. Do you see the marks near the reactors? They were caused by shelling. That's how close the bombs landed. People living nearby are preparing for the worst. Some are stocking up potassium iodide pills to protect themselves against radiation. The rest are simply leaving. The United Nations wants this plant to be surveyed, for the damage to be assessed. Russia promised access, but now it seems to be stonewalling the inspection.
My understanding from the IAEA is that they would like to see this mission go as quickly as possible. It's their mandate. They're in the lead. We will support them in any way we can, and I think the statement is pretty clear that we have the security, the logistics capacity to help them get to Zaporizhia from Kiev, right? But there needs to be an agreement with the two, with Russia and Ukraine for obvious reasons.
This nuclear plant is like an insurance for Russia, a strategic advantage that Russia will not give up. But the cost of this brinkmanship can be very high. The war in Ukraine has taken a dangerous turn every day as the fighting moves closer to the nuclear power plant. The risk for the world grows.